It's Bruce's turn for a movie called Infested. That film is not going in theaters. It is streaming on Shudder Friday, April 26th. Bruce, what do you got for us?
I'll let you chime in if you have some of the information as far as the actors. I know you do. Directed by Sebastian Vanicek, I guess, if I'm saying the name right. Well, okay, if I were to give the log line of this movie or to give it like a selling point, I would say like this is not what it is, but I could see a executive saying like, well, you take Attack the Block and you take Arachnophobia and you stick them together and you get a movie. Well, that's kind of what's going on here. Basically, it starts out in our main character, Caleb. He is out trying to buy, if I remember correctly, he's trying to buy earrings for his girl. Or not his girl. He's trying to buy him for the mom, like kind of the mom of the housing complex that they live in. They live in one of these, for whatever reason we were talking before this. Paris seems to be full of these low-income housing projects, apparently. I don't know what's up with that. It's something I don't know about the society, but
And they're really big. They're just high rises. Yeah.
Yeah. They're huge high rises with weird, like, it looks like almost like a, I don't know, Soviet bloc era construction practices and style to them. Anyway, he's going to this to buy some earrings for this woman that's kind of been the de facto mom of this big complex. And while he's there, he wants the good stuff. He goes, no. I know you have good stuff in back. Come on, let me in back. Let me get the good stuff. And he goes in the back. And while he's back there, he sees the guy who runs the shop has, a la Gremlins, has all kinds of exotic animals from all over the world. One of them is this spider. The very opening sequence, pre-title sequence, we saw people catching this spider out in, I forget where it was, Dubai or Saudi Arabia or something.
Right.
And it seemed to be very vicious and possibly venomous. And he's just got it in a little Tupperware container. And he's like, yeah. Give me this and the earrings. That's great. He takes it back to his room. He lives with his sister. He has a whole bunch of exotic animals in his room. It's the thing. He loves like, he has scorpions and snakes and all kinds of stuff. And
Frogs, yeah.
yeah, he kind of has a side job of selling like Nikes and stuff out of a storage container in the basement of this place. You meet all the different people as he goes up to his room.
He's a good kid.
Yeah, good kid, but he's on the edges of the law. But I mean, everyone there is probably on the edges of the law because they have to do what they have to do to survive. And they do a really good job. So I think I'll start off right off the bat. This is one of those movies that does a really good job of setting all of the pieces in place for you as you walk into the building. You meet the lady who cleans the building. You get to see, there's water dripping on some of his shoe supplies. There's the lights, have a timer you got to turn to get the lights go on in this hallway, and it only lasts for so long. And it doesn't work so great. Little stuff like that all the way through. You know it's there for later in the movie, but it's smart filmmaking, because it's giving you all of the different elements that are going to come into play as the movie goes on.
His sister is actually tearing down their house, but she's kind of renovating it with the tiles. So the first time you're thinking, why is she tearing down their apartment? What is she doing? And those gaps will be filled as well. And as she's tearing it down, you realize that they're not exactly, they may love each other, but they're not a really good partnership as siblings.
And like a good horror / disaster / survival movie, you want to meet all the different characters that are going to come into play as the movie goes on. They do a great job of doing that. Give them each person a little bit of character so that very quickly, because this movie doesn't take a long time to get to stuff, I would say it probably takes 15 minutes before, his spider got out. No surprise, the spider gets out.
Right. Right.
And then the rest of the movie is dealing with that spider or maybe a lot of spiders. And I will just say that there is an escalation of the situation. And from that point on, it's just, to me, and I'll hear you saw it too, right, Greg?
Yeah.
I don't know if Eric saw it.
No.
But it's just, to me, it was a really solid horror creature thriller. And even though it does have CGI elements, I think they're done tastefully and effectively. There is some practical. There's a fair amount of CGI to do this many spiders, but it's done in a way where it's not cartoonish as far as I'm thinking. And even though it verges to a little bit unrealistic, it does explain it a little bit, and it gives you some really nice, tense set pieces. And I think overall, this is very satisfying for what this movie is aiming to hit.
I don't know if you agree with me on this, Bruce. This movie also has a sort of a not subtle theme, but underlying theme about class struggle within the building.
It
also does. Higher authority, maybe police, possible brutality and violence. So there's sort of a class system struggle situation going on. I appreciated that it was interwoven within the survival drama, and it didn't. Maybe you disagree. I didn't feel like I was beaten over the head by it.
No, I don't think so. And I don't think you've ever seen this movie, but a really, really well loved, probably one of the best found footage movies ever made called REC, R-E-C. It's a Spanish movie.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Has
Yeah.
an element like that as well, where to me the element you're talking about is just saying like this is the state of their lives, but in the plot of the movie it acts like another obstacle. Basically, one obstacle might be a hallway. I'm not going to say what happens in a hallway, but there's a hallway sequence that's fantastic. You know, one obstacle might be a hallway, one might be electricity, one might be the police. You know,
Yeah. And maybe I'm overshooting myself, Bruce, on this, but it also has that underlying thing about are you going to care? Are you going to really care for your neighbor? Or are you just going to leave? And it's one of these things where Bruce was saying about escalation. We're not going to give too much away about spiders. If you have arachnophobia as a part of your vocabulary, if you do not like spiders, do not want to see them in a horror situation, stay away. If you are also susceptible regarding dogs, I'm thinking maybe stay away as well, but it's a scary movie. I think the jump scares, I'm not very good like Eric when it comes to what is a jump scare or not. I didn't feel like I was cheated for the scares. There's a section
no,
regarding
I don't think so.
there's a shower sequence or like with a woman and guy and it was a closed off sequence. I was scared bleepless on this. And
See, the way I look at that, and you tell me what you think. See, if it's, you know how there's a moment where it's setting you up for a jump scare, but then it does what Eric said, which is the cat jumps out or the window flies open. You're like, oh, okay. And then usually how that works is that happens, and then the person turns around and the real thing's there, right? This is more like it's setting you up for an expectation that something's going to happen with the spiders, and then something happens with the spiders. So, I mean, that's just paying it off, really, as far as I'm concerned. And I think that's the giveaway on this kind of movie is that if you go see a movie, it's about a bunch of spiders and people having to deal with them, and they may or may not be, you know, super dangerous or whatever. This movie does that. It gives you what you came and you paid for. I think that's what I would say about it.
and guilty pleasure survival dramas will have a body count, and you will watch possibly people dying. And sometimes lesser movies, guilty pleasures, you really don't care about the characters too much. Bruce was saying about the setups. It has a really good setup with all the characters. You actually, even if it's for a couple of minutes for each character, you know who they are. They're played by really good actors. And whenever they meet their respective fates, I think you're actually saying, oh, well, that sucked. Or so I really liked the writing, the acting. I thought so many elements of this movie of Infested was high level. I was surprised at how much I really enjoyed this movie. Bruce, final thoughts and your rating on Infested.
I don't have too much more to say. I think if you're going for a creature feature, especially a spider creature feature, and it's kind of like shark ones and all those kind of movies where there's like 100 of them that are all terrible, and every so often there's one like a shark one like Crawl, or not alligator one like Crawl, I mean, or pick a good shark one recently. I can't remember off the top of my head, but every so often
Black
you
Demon.
get a no, Black Demon.
No one else agrees with me, but I'll throw that out there.
I like that. I like Black Demon. No, but anyways,
But every so often you get a good one. I feel like if you've been looking for one that's solid and good, I think this one is one of those. And it's time well spent, I think.
yes. So, and what is your rating?
Rating, you know, I was hovering around 4, but I think I'm going to go 4.5. I think this is a really good movie.
Bruce, 4.5 stars for me. It's a really, really good movie. And we also have to mention, as far as double features go, Jordy is one of the friends of Caleb. Caleb's played by Theo Christine. We also have to mention Lisa Nyarko plays Manon, his sister. But Jordy is Caleb's former best friend. He's played by this actor named Finnegan Oldfield. And Finnegan Oldfield starred several years ago in a movie that all three of us, I believe Eric loved it as well, called Gagarin. And Gagarin, totally different movie in a sense, but both of these movies are set in an apartment building and both deal with actually a fantastical element. I don't know if Bruce agrees with me, but if you're looking for French set films on buildings, tenement buildings, high rises with fantastical elements, I don't know, Gagarin and this movie and Infested might be a good weird double feature. So my final rating on Infested, like Bruce Purkey, 4.5 stars. Infested.
Quick question. So the director of Infested, Sebastian Vanicek, I think, or
Yes.
Vanicek,
Mhm.
it says his next movie is Untitled Evil Dead spinoff. Is this good, or is this good news, or is this a waste of talent, or
I think it's
what's kind of your thoughts
great
on
question. Bruce, what do you think?
I would say the Evil Dead series so far, all of them, the series and the movies, have been all really solid and have seemed to be pretty good proving grounds for up and coming directors, including Sam Raimi. I say it's good.
that? Yeah.
I'd say it's a brilliant choice because I think they probably saw Infested and they're thinking this guy is a freaking talent. I mean, I think we're on board with this, right? So he's a co-writer. He's a co-wrote this movie Infested with Laurent Bernard, and he directed the movie Sebastian Vanacek, or Vanacek. I don't know, Eric, how to pronounce it. Huge talent.
I don't know.
Huge talent. Eric, you haven't had the chance last week. You've been watching so many movies. I think this is in your box as far as screeners go. If you ever have the time, maybe do a rewind because I think, Bruce, you agree? I think this is a movie that Eric will go chef's kiss on.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, this is such a, if you like really solid actions, thrillery, monstery kind of movies, this one's really lean and mean.